If I can show you an undeniable, unwavering, unshakable, relentless commitment towards where we're going, now all of a sudden the doubt that you have for yourself starts to go away. Your belief in where you're going needs to override the doubt in where people are at. What is the big four game? You ready? I just want you to look to your neighbor real quick and say, my big four game is strong. My big four game is strong. If they come up to you like, hey, how are you going to win? How am I going to win? Are you kidding? My big four game is strong. How am I not going to win? Like, you ever see Remember the Titans? Like strong side, left side, like strong side, big four game. Like too strong. Like there's no failure if you got a strong big four game. You got a strong big four game, you become untouchable. You become undeniable in this business. You grow, you scale. You are like a rhino where nothing phases you because your big four game is strong. Number one, personal prospecting. If you personally prospect more than everyone else, you'll get more names and numbers than everyone else. More shots on goal. Anybody ever play sports? Okay, sure. Sport. Football, awesome. Okay, more passes, the more likely you are to catch it. Right? There we go. All right, what sports do we play?
Football and soccer.
Football and soccer. Soccer, more shots on goal. That's an analogy that I normally use because I played soccer my whole life. So my point is when you're prospecting a lot of people, you're giving yourselves more opportunity to win. What you're also doing is giving yourself more opportunity to become skillful, which is probably the most important part. Like when Jeff came in, he recruited a lot, okay? He was recruiting. The problem is he was recruiting without skill just yet. It's not that he wasn't a skillful person. It didn't mean he wasn't skillful on a baseball field. It doesn't mean he wasn't skillful in other things. It just means in this, he was lacking skill, okay? And what happens was he was personally prospecting a lot. And that led to point number 2 in the big four game, which is personal recruiting. When personal prospecting is high, personal recruiting is high. When there's high personal prospecting and there's high personal recruiting, naturally what happens is you have so much inventory, it's hard not to become skillful. It's hard not to become skillful. At my house, if I have a basketball court, if I go shoot a basketball 500 times, I'm going to probably become a little bit more skillful than the person that took 2 shots, correct? Well, if you prospect a bunch of people and you make more 3 good quality scripts than everyone else, like eventually you're going to get really good at that script because you are calling more people than everyone else. If you're calling more people than everyone else and you're aware of the fact that I'm trying to develop every single time I make a phone call, then what starts to happen is like your skill goes up. Skills pay the bills. So the more skillful you become, the easier it becomes to make income at the drop of a dime. Like right now, if you're making income in our business, is because you've learned the money-making skill to make income. If you're not making a lot of income in our business, you just haven't learned that skill yet. But the good news is skills in our business is just words. Like that's the beautiful part about our business. You know, if I was going to go to the NBA, skills matter, but so does being 6'4".
Yeah.
You know, like in our business, it's just a matter of words. And it doesn't matter your height, your gender, your ethnicity, your religious preferences. If you can say the right words in the right sequence, you win. That's why I love sales, because anybody could become great at sales. Anybody can become great at sales. Anybody can become great in our business because our clients are people. And if you say the right words to people, they want to buy. If you say the wrong words to people, they don't want to buy. That's it, right? How many of us have learned words before? That's why we're able to communicate right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you've learned words before, which is why you're able to communicate. If you use the right words in the right sequence, people buy. So if you use the right words in the right sequence with the right tone, people buy. That's it. So if your words are all out of whack, then yeah, people are not going to buy. So when you come into our business, it's kind of like a puzzle where it's like you hear him say word, but like you don't have the full sentence. You're like, agency building, IUL, and like you have all these words, and then you're creating your own sentence, and you're like, nobody's buying because you're using all the words out of sequence. When you're building a puzzle, what happens? You put the top of the puzzle down, you look at it, you start putting all the pieces, you lay them all out, it looks crazy. You have like hundreds of words. You're like, none of this makes sense. It's all gibberish. Nothing looks like it's supposed to go together. And then what do? You look at the vision, Jeff and Kayla, EMDs. You look at the vision and you start taking the little pieces and you start putting the little pieces together and you start with the border. Start with the border and then slowly but surely it starts to come together. But what happens? Is it harder or easier at the beginning stages when you're trying to put together a puzzle? Harder. But the more the puzzle comes together, does it get easier or harder? Easier, because there's less pieces and you're already aware of where the majority of things are. So what happens is in the beginning stages of getting a business off the ground, it's like a puzzle. There's pieces everywhere. You don't know what goes together, but the more the pieces begin to connect, the more your business begins to shape. Now all of a sudden it gets easier and easier and easier because there's less pieces to identify. There's less spots on the board. And now all of a sudden by the end of the puzzle, you're just popping them in. That's getting a business off the ground. Does this make sense, guys? Okay? That is part of it. So just know, like, that's the stage that you are in. So when you have a lot of personal prospecting and when you have a lot of personal recruiting, it gives you a lot more opportunity to kind of mess things up, but then also learn what to do and learn what not to do, which means it gives you the ability to look at the puzzle with a little bit more wisdom. Make sense? Like, wow, that sure as heck was not it, right? That didn't work at all, right? And versus like, wow, that worked really, really well. Man, that just flowed right out of me. And like that, oh my gosh, it's starting to work right now. It's starting to make sense. How do you keep consistent personal prospecting? 2 things that I'd recommend. Number 1, power hour every day. If you dedicate an hour to anything, you're going to become good at it. If you dedicate an hour every day to anything, okay? If I go outside and I shoot a basketball for an hour every day, I'm going to be pretty good at shooting a basketball after a year, correct? It's the same thing here. Like do an hour every day, focus on your direct recruiting outreach. And what's going to begin to happen is all of a sudden you're sending DMs and results start to happen, success starts to build. The second part of personal prospecting is in person, which for me, I didn't like because it doesn't seem like it in this, but I'm an introvert. I step into places like this, and because it's this topic that I know inside and out, it feels as if I'm extroverted, but I'm an extreme introvert. Like, talk to my wife, I'm an extreme introvert. So for me, talking to a stranger, in my opinion, is what it would be like if I got sent to hell. You know what I mean? I was like, if I screwed this thing up and I got it, I could just see a whole bunch of strangers that I have to talk to. Like, that's what it would be for me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not an area of strength for me. It's an area of improvement for me. And so personal prospecting was difficult because back in the day, like, we didn't have LinkedIn, a way to get direct. So do you know what we had to do? If you didn't have a warm market, go pretend to shop at the mall at places you can't afford to buy anything, right? Because I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't afford a Starbucks coffee. And I'm having to sit in the Starbucks and like talk to people. Like that was our only shot to get a direct. We didn't have LinkedIn and all these different cool things where like you don't even have to face somebody. People go that route because there's no rejection. You can send out 50 DMs and 40 of them don't respond and you don't feel 40 rejections. That's why people do it. It's so much easier. But just because it's easier doesn't mean it's more effective. This is what I realize. In person is the most effective way to prospect somebody. So everywhere I go, I always say the same thing. And I don't need to have a long-winded conversation because, like I just said, that hurt for me. I had an upline that was great at that. They would go have a 15-minute conversation with somebody and then prospect them. I'm out of things to say in 30 seconds, right? If it's not about bettering my family or growing my business, like, I don't really have a lot to talk about. Like, there's not a whole bunch of conversation pieces that I have. It's like either business, family, faith, getting better. So if they're not in that same 4 things, like, there's not a lot for me to talk about. I put together this prospecting script that everywhere I go, if I spend money, I get the name and number of the person, right? I try to be a little bit more strategic with it. So like if I go to a restaurant, and they're bringing me to a table and somebody walks out, I'm like, I don't know if they're the type of person I would want to prospect. Like, is there any way we can change sections? It's a little cold over here. But you guys get my point, right? And so that's how I prospected Jack Maroney. He was my server at True Foods, right? And I said, hey, listen, Jack, brother, this is going to sound so strange. And I don't mean to sound strange, but your service today was unbelievable. I'm actually with GFI. We're the fastest growing financial agency in North America. And right now we're expanding a ton because demand is through the roof. If you brought the quality of service that you gave us here tonight into our industry, you can do very well for yourself. Obviously I can't guarantee anything, but I would love to get you in contact with our expansion department. You happen to have a business card on you? And he goes, no. I was like, hey, no big deal. Write down your contact information. I'll speak to our expansion department. If they're willing to give you a call, I'll reach out to you first and let you know. How's that sound? Awesome. That's it. I do that everywhere I go, right? And I'm flowing out now. But I have all this scripted. Jeff has it, Kayla has it. We can get you guys dialed in on it. Just practice it. And now I don't need to build like this long drawn out conversation. I can literally see you just working your butt off from across the room and just walk up and be like, excuse me, miss, what's your name? Hey, how's it going? My name is Matthew. This is probably gonna be the weirdest thing that happened to you all day. But as I was walking by, I just saw you busting your butt. Like you're working your ass off, and like super impressive. Like I said, my name is Matthew Welsh. I'm with Global Financial Impact. We're the fastest growing financial agency in North America right now. And demand is through the roof. And so because of that, we're taking unusual methods to kind of get the word out about our expansion. And I just saw you working your tail off. And all I know is that if you brought a work ethic like that to our industry, you could do incredibly well for yourself financially. Do you happen to have a business card on you? I'd love to get you in contact with our expansion department. And they go, no, I don't. Hey, no big deal. How about this? Because obviously you're working right now. How about I just take down your number? I'll speak to our expansion department. And if they're willing to give you a call, I'll reach out to you in the next couple of days and let you know. How's that sound? Like, I don't need to have I can just spot you and see you working. Make sense, right? So just understand like this works very, very effectively. So that's personal prospecting. Number 2 is personal recruiting. Your goal should be to get 3 to 5 directs every month. And if your big 1 game is strong, then your big 2 game becomes very strong. Because if I have enough prospects, then guess what? I have a lot of recruits because I have a lot of people to call, right? So if I have a lot of people to call, I'm going to have some success. If I have a lot of interviews to be able to conduct, I'm going to have some success. And so now I have a whole bunch of recruits that are coming in, and that's giving me more shots on goal, more opportunities. So if I'm doing power hour every day and I make sure I turn every dollar spent into a dollar invested by prospecting somebody every time I spend money, well, that means I'm giving myself a lot of opportunities and I'm now building a lot of prospects for me to call, which turns into the big 2 game, right? Which is personal recruiting. And so I want you to write this. I need to get 3 to 5 directs every month. And if my big 1 game is strong, my big 2 game will be strong. Okay. So big 4 game. Number 1, personal prospecting. Number 2, personal recruiting. Number 3, personal field training. So now we've prospected them, we've recruited them, right? And now it's about field training, okay? Well, why is that so important? Guys, where do clients come from? One of the 4 ways that we get clients is field training, correct? So if we have a lot of prospects and we have a lot of recruits and they're getting licensed, that means we're gonna have a lot of what? Field training appointments. So let's say I recruit 10 people on my team this month and they all get licensed. How many field training appointments am I gonna be on? 100. Transparently, I don't even have the time to do 100. I don't. I mean, I did 250,000 personal points for 6 years straight on 5 field trainings a week.
Wow. 1 a day.
Yeah, just 1 a day, right? Like that's all it takes. But like transparently, how many of you were on 1 field training appointment a day the last 7 days? So it's like, it's simple to do. It's just easier not to do it transparently. And so I just did 5 to 6 days a week. I did a field training appointment a day, and I did 250,000 personal points. And at the time, our contract, the EMD contract was 65%. So I made about 130 G's, give or take, on my personal pen, right? On our platform, you would have made $225,000 doing it, right? A little bit different. But I say all this to say is like, it doesn't take like an insane amount to be successful. It just takes a consistent amount to be successful. And that's where everyone drops the ball. They lack consistency. Like I can get a whole bunch of prospects today, but if I'm not consistently doing it every month, then I'm like, oh, I have a good month. Next month, I'm in the gutter, right? So if my personal prospecting is strong, my personal recruiting is strong, that means my personal field training is gonna be strong. Well, why is that so important? A, it's how I feed myself. But even more importantly than that, somebody's like, what's more important than feeding yourself? Duplication. Because field training for your own personal income is short term. For your long-term income, it becomes permanent if I go out of my way to field train people correctly. So now, what is your name, by the way?
James.
James. If I'm going on field training appointments with James, yes, I'm going to earn income. But you know what's more important than that? Me teaching James how to earn income. That's the power of this. I teach James now how to earn income. James learns how to make income. Now it's game over. So now when I'm taking them out on field training appointments, it's not just about can I give a presentation and them like it? No, it's can I give a presentation, collect a check? Because if I don't, I'm duplicating into James that it's okay to go out on a bunch of appointments and not get results. Like I need to get results with James. This happens a lot. Let's say I'm a crappy closer. Me and James go on 15 appointments. I'm like, dude, that appointment went great. That appointment, and I'm just trying to make myself feel better about the fact that this did not go well in any way. I don't want him to quit, And so I'm like, James, that was really good. They seem supportive. And so now we do 15 field training appointments. Nobody moves forward. James now is like, he told me that was success. So then he starts field training people. And he now thinks it's success to have people like them, but not buy anything. Is that failure in sales?
Yes.
Yeah. So I now duplicated into James that success is no results. That's not a good thing to duplicate when you're trying to build a sales agency, right? And so we're going to go on field training appointments, and I got to make sure that I am good enough and skillful enough and personable enough to not only build strong connections, but be able to gather a check and earn income. So that way James makes money, I make money. James now learns how to make money. Now I say, James, just go do what I did with you. That's it. Like the easiest way to duplicate people in sales and business is go do what I did with you. The problem is if you did the wrong thing, you just duplicated the wrong thing. That's why you got to be very careful of everything you say, everything you do, every action that you take, you are duplicating. Every situation is an opportunity for duplication. People are not dumb. They pay attention to everything. And so if everything that I do with James, he's going to do with his people. So do you think a shortcut is a good idea? No. Doing everything right and doing everything with precision is everything when I'm training someone, because I am creating a future master copy. And if I'm taking shortcuts in any capacity, I'm doing the wrong thing in any capacity. If I'm operating with lazy leadership, meaning I don't feel like it right now, so I'm just gonna half-ass this part. I'm gonna do this 75%. Now James thinks that that is the best way to do it, which is 75%, which is nowhere near what's required in order to win. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, like this is why it's so important. Like if I'm gonna train you, like I'm going the extra mile to train you, because I already know that you're probably, just transparently, I already know you're not gonna be as effective as me, right? Up front, like, and so that means that if I train you at 70%, you're gonna be doing things at like 40%, which means there's really not a shot for you to win. So people do 50% of what you do right and 100% of what you do wrong. And so if people do 50% of what you do right and 100% of what you do wrong, that means that every single time you do something wrong, they're gonna do 100% of it. And if you're half-assing something at 60%, they're gonna do it at 30 because they do 50% of what you do right. Which is why you gotta go above and beyond as a leader to be the example. And so if I'm taking you out in the field, yes, I wanna build you support. Yes, I want everybody to love us, love you, love what we do. But I gotta teach you how to close and make money, or else you're gonna think the rest of your career that going out on appointments and not making money is okay, because I'm gonna tell you it's okay so that way you don't quit, but now I duplicated failure permanently. Yep. Bad idea, okay? I have to become skillful enough to gather a check. Make sense? And number 4 is frontline leadership development. What does that look like? Just transferring of skill. The problem is can you transfer skill that you don't have? No. Can you pour from an empty cup?
Nope.
No. Can you teach something you've never done? There's a lot of people in this world that try, but no. Okay? And so we have to realize that the reason I'm personally prospecting is so that way I can say, hey, James, let me show you how to do it.
Yep.
Now we start personally recruiting. James, let me show you how to do it. Now we start personally field training. James, let me show you how to do it. And then guess what happens? You have somebody that can do it on their own. But can I develop a leader out of somebody I've never field trained? Can I field train somebody I've never recruited? Can I recruit somebody I've never prospected? So if you want more fruit, what do you got to focus on? The root. And that is what most people don't do. Do you want to know why? Because they're focused on making money. They focus on the fruit. They don't focus on the root. People who think long-term, they focus obsessively on the root because they understand it will bring fruit. See the difference here? Strong big 4 game. You with me? If you want to become great at this, you got to have a strong big 4 game. You're doing personal prospecting, personal recruiting, personal field training, and frontline leadership development, which is just transferring skill, right? Like it's game over. You're going to have success. And now it's just how many times can you do that?